The MG Cyberster is billed as the world's first affordable EV roadster, and it's the most aspirational model this British-influenced Chinese marque has yet brought us. Still remember MG's glory days? Here they are, reinvented. The MG Cyberster is everything we'd hoped an electric MG sports car might be. Here, we're going to tell you why. It's 2 decades since the MG brand launched a proper sports car, the TF of 1995. Since then, we've had to get used to a very different kind of MG, a Chinese company making budget-priced hatches and SUVs, mostly electric ones in recent times. But the marque, these days owned by China's biggest automaker SAIC, has higher aspirations, and these allowed for the development of a halo sports car to finally replace the TF, this model, the Cyberster. It's an electric sports roadster, which at launch in the UK made it unique, at least for those prepared to ignore Elon Musk's old Lotus-based Tesla Roadster of 2008. Actually, just about any kind of relatively affordable sports roadster is pretty unique these days. The only combustion ones that remain are the Mazda MX-5 and, more relevantly for this Cyberster's price point, the BMW Z4 and the Porsche 718 Boxster, the latter soon to end production as we filmed. But those are aging products. This MG, in contrast, feels fresh and forward-thinking, the first sign of the coming convertible electric sports car revolution. It was developed by a group of passionate young designers at the SAIC studio in London. The Chinese conglomerate hadn't told them to create this car and nearly told them to can the whole idea at several points during development, especially during COVID. But somehow this model's daring concept survived, and when SAIC chairman Chen Hong saw the wild reaction to the concept Cyberster's first showing at the 2021 Shanghai Motor Show, he immediately approved the car for production, the Chinese motor industry's first ever roadster, which was launched to celebrate MG's 100th anniversary in 2024. So, what have we got here? You'll need the industry's most comprehensive review, the Car and Driving Road Test, to fully find out. So what on earth might this be like? An electric MG Roadster? Well, it's one of those EVs that turns on as soon as you get in. There's no starter button or handbrake, though you do at least get the kind of gear selector and column stalks that presumably the forthcoming Tesla Roadster won't have if it ever makes production. You set off in impressive silence, or at least you can do. For Europe, MG has added in the option of engaging a couple of fake drivetrain sounds with 3 volume settings, one futuristic, the other with a low-end buzz that at a rather long stretch might be thought by an enthusiast to be a little reminiscent of an old MGB. You think of a roadster as being light and agile, but this one, unpromisingly, weighs up to 1,985 kilograms, which is almost the weight of an old MGB, heavier than the old MG TF. But then, to be fair, the Cyberster is a significantly larger car than the TF, 3 times more powerful and twice as quick off the mark, courtesy of its all-electric 77 kilowatt-hour drivetrain. Just how quick you'll go depends on your selection between the 2 variants on offer. Things kick off with a rear-driven trophy model that offers 340 PS with 475 Newton meters of torque, and if you engage launch control, makes 62 miles an hour in 5 seconds dead. The range is 316 miles. Ideally though, you'd stretch to the alternative top GT version that we're trying here. This adds 4-wheel drive and a further motor at the front, boosting power to 508 PS. but the real gain lies in the massive jump in pulling power to 725 Newton meters, reducing the 62 mile an hour sprint time to just 3.2 seconds. Range is 276 miles. So fast or frantically fast, your choice. Top speed with both variants is 124 miles an hour, and you can retract the powered roof at up to 32 miles an hour. Now with both variants there are 4 driving modes: comfort, custom, sport and track. These tweak steering feel, throttle response, torque distribution between the front and rear axles, and even the climate system. For launch control aided victory in every traffic light Grand Prix, there's a super sport setting too, activated by this big red button on the steering wheel. Plus there's an adaptable 3-level brake regeneration system, badged like in an F1 car as a KERS setup, and incorporating a 1-pedal mode which allows the car to fiercely slow or throttle. The ingredients here are a mixed bag. An enthusiast considering this car will be pleased to hear that the brakes are from Brembo, the tyres are P0s from Pirelli, and the configurable steering was co-developed with Bosch. They'll be less likely to tell their friends that it all sits on a platform developed with the MG4 EV shopping hatch. We mentioned the prodigious curb weight. That was always going to mitigate against super sharp handling, so MG instead has concentrated on making the Cyberster the best GT it can be, rather than the best out-and-out chuckable roadster. For that, the brand turned to a team led by legendary F1 chassis tuning specialist Mario Fanello, who helped engineer Michael Schumacher's Ferrari-winning years. Considering what he had to work with, he's done a pretty good job. Now, of course, you can't throw this car into corners like you would be able to with a 718 Boxster or a Z4, but this MG doesn't feel anything like as heavy as it actually is. Yes, really bumpy, small, tight B roads can unsettle it a bit, but on more flowing, curvy routes, body control's excellent. The chassis doesn't noticeably flex over bumps, the brakes are sharp, the steering's quick and accurate, and the weight distribution is a perfect 50-50. Fitting with the Grand Touring remit, refinement's excellent, or at least it is with the roof up. With the roof down like this, quite a lot of buffeting sets in over 50 miles an hour. The ride, which doesn't benefit from adaptive damping, is supple, well judged and far less harsh than you'd expect it to be in a roadster, particularly one this heavy. At speed, the suspension setup in this dual-motor GT version is preferable to the slightly more comfort-orientated spec of the lesser trophy model, another reason why you might want to trade up. And as you'd expect from an all-wheel drive powertrain, cornering grip in this GT is in plentiful supply, firing you from bend to bend. The roadster genre used to be MG's trademark. With this Cyberster, perhaps in some small way for the EV era, it is again once more. A British design team led by stylist Carl Gotham created this Cyberster's eye-catching curvaceous exterior look with its powered scissor doors and unusual arrowhead taillights. There's over 4.5 metres of length, half a metre more than an MX-5. For comparison, a BMW Z4 is 4.4 metres and the old mid-engined MG TF was 3.96 metres. The long wheelbase separates wheels that are either 19 inches or, as in the case of this GT dual motor version, 20 inches in size, either way fitted out with prominent Brembo calipers. The taller stance, because the Cyberster sits on all of those batteries, is disguised by a black gloss hoop circling the cockpit, which visually lowers the shoulders of the silhouette. MG says it all provides a sense of theatre. There's a reference to MG's 100th anniversary on the lower sills. Up front, you'd never guess this car's provenance if it wasn't for the octagonal badge on a nose that could be from an Aston, an Alfa, a Lotus, maybe even a Corvette C8. Take your pick. LED headlamps smear back into the wings, there's a prominent lower intake, and the bonnet's as long as it would be if a combustion engine was installed beneath it. There's nothing beneath that bonnet, by the way, except for a blanking plate and access to things like the wiper washer reservoir. The rear is striking too, with its short cam-style tail, which is there to improve the aerodynamics of the surprisingly long shape. Don't think Mazda MX-5, it's more like a 911. The boot lid conceals the fabric roof compartment and the motor that powers the retracting top. And you get these rather comical looking arrow-themed LED tail lights above potent looking lower diffuser panels that can be red trimmed. But will it be as avant-garde inside? You raise these electric scissor doors from the key fob and they certainly make you feel like you're getting into a supercar, though they do open rather slowly. Sensors prevent the doors from opening if objects or people are too close. And if you've a low garage ceiling, you'll be pleased to learn that the opening height can be set at different levels. Once inside, two big buttons on either side of the roof switch on the centre console are used to close them. So what have we got here? Well, it's good to have the reminder of the steering wheel bezel badge, because you certainly don't feel like you've got into an MG Roadster, or any kind of Roadster really. Despite the designer's best efforts, the seating position is a little too high to suit a car of that description, which might be an issue for taller drivers who don't want to be buffeted when the roof's down. Now, unlike the exterior, this cabin was styled in Shanghai, which you might guess because there are more screens than in a Radio Shack shop window. A centre 10.25-inch display with speed, range and navigation, flanked on each side by a touch-sensitive 7-inch monitor. The resulting feel is slightly reminiscent of one of those 3D race simulators, except in miniature. MG's designers tried to make all these screens less distracting for the European market, but they couldn't do much about the slightly questionable ergonomics of this setup. With your hands in a typical 10-to-2 position on the wheel, it's difficult to see the left-hand navigation and media screen. The right screen's a bit obscured too, but that's less of an issue because there isn't really much on that display. Stuff like weather forecasts, email access, an energy consumption pie chart and so on. None of that stuff's really necessary for the kind of driving focus the cockpit of a Roadster should have. Peripherals like that really belong on a central infotainment monitor. There is one, this portrait format 7-inch screen next to the vertical gear selector. It's got pretty much everything you'd want, as well as navigation and Apple CarPlay and Android Auto smartphone mirroring, a really good 8-speaker Bose audio system and a 360-degree parking camera. But it's almost impossible to read this screen when the roof is down due to reflections. But at least, unlike with most conventional MGs, it hasn't completely inhaled all the climate functions, and it has the most minuscule icon you'll have ever seen for turning on the fog lights. Screens apart, there's a lot going on here design-wise, much of it likely to divide opinion, like the buttress that flanks the left side of the centre stack, the faux octagonal bolt heads on the door rests, the mixture of conventional and haptic buttons, and the unusually shaped over-buttoned wheel with its prominent red Super Sport button below the right spoke. Whether you like all this or not, you can't deny that there's a most un-MG-like feeling of quality with the materials chosen and the way they've all been screwed together. There's quite an upmarket feel too, thanks to stitched Napa leather upholstery and soft microfiber trimming. The generous exterior dimensions allow this cabin to feel wide and spacious. It certainly feels a generation on from a Z4 or a 718 Boxster, and the bucket seats are comfortable and supportive with full lumbar adjustment. It's practical too, with small narrow lidded cubbies in the doors, a reasonably sized glove box, a lidded box between the seats with both USB-A and USB-C ports, and nice touches like this narrow centre console slot for your mobile phone. If you're short to medium of height, you'll appreciate these useful netted areas behind the seats for soft bags and jackets. If you're tall though, you'll probably wish that MG had used the space they take up to provide for a bit more rearward seat travel. A specially designed wind deflector positioned between the front seats reduces buffeting a bit. One benefit of the high cabin seating position is that it makes it easier to get out, something older owners will appreciate. Now let's take a look at the roof mechanism before we finish with the cockpit. It's a powered canvas top that opens or closes in under 15 seconds and can operate separately from the doors, whether they're open or closed. Plus, you can use it at speeds of up to 32 miles an hour. Out back, lifting the trunk lid reveals a 249-litre boot with shaping that the designers worked hard on, so a set of golf clubs could fit. A small suitcase or two could just about be accommodated as long as you could get them in around these two large charging lead bags. There's a small netted area on each side and a light on the left, but no space for anything further beneath the floor. You'll have to fit everything in here because there's no under bonnet frunk space. Cyberster prices start from around £55,000 for the single motor trophy version. That's at the time of this test in early 2025. You'll need around £60,000 for this twin motor GT model. If you like this car but don't care about wind in the hair motoring, then talk to your MG dealer instead about the Cyber GTS, a hardtop version of this model that hadn't been launched at the time of this test. As for Cyberster rivals, well, what exactly can you directly compare this car to? For the time being, it's in a class of one, in founding the roadster electric segment. If you really want comparisons, the closest combustion option would be something like a BMW Z4 M40i, which costs about the same. As we filmed, Porsche was selling the last of its 718 Boxster Roadster models, a car that in equivalent Boxster S form costs around £10,000 more. It's harder to give you options if you're looking at a pure electric sporting car. The new breed of cheaper, small EV hot hatches just aren't powerful enough to compete with the Cyberster, whilst a mid-sized EV that is powerful enough, say comparably priced Hyundai Ioniq 5N, is really too heavy. If it's a Cyberster you want, then you'll be pleased to find that in usual MG fashion, this car is generously equipped. Apart from the powertrain differences, the only point of change between Trophy and this GT trim is the fitment of 19-inch Lightning design alloy wheels for the Trophy and these larger 20-inch Jetstream design alloy wheels for this GT. Both rim sets feature red front calipers. So let's brief you on standard Cyberster spec. The electric fabric hood and the electric scissor doors are standard, of course, as are auto LED headlights, LED rear tail lamps, power folding mirrors, keyless entry, 4 drive modes, launch control, adaptive cruise control, rain sensing wipers, a volume sensing alarm, and vehicle to load charging for powering external devices from the car. Inside, you can choose between 2 cabin trimming packages, a black and red interior with a camouflage black effect coloured centre console, or a grey interior with a silver effect centre console. Both feature leather-style 6-way powered sports seats with suede-like Dinamica inserts. These position you nicely in front of the metal sports pedals and ahead of a multifunctional steering wheel with paddle shifters for the brake regen system. The instrument binnacle has a centre 10.25-inch display flanked by 2 7-inch screens. The further screen on the centre console is for infotainment. That includes Apple CarPlay and Android Auto smartphone mirroring, plus an 8-speaker Bose audio system and a 360-degree parking camera. There's also ambient lighting, a heated steering wheel and auto dual zone climate control. Owners also get the convenience of MG's iSmart app, via which they'll be able to interact with their Cyberster using their phone. The app allows you to lock or unlock the doors, locate the car in a crowded car park, check battery levels and precondition the cabin for warmth or coolness before you get to it. Right, what else? Well, there are 5 exterior colour choices: New English White, Camden Grey, Cosmic Silver, Dynamic Red and Inca Yellow. All come as standard with a black hood, but with the white, grey or silver finishes, you can alternatively specify a red hood. In all, including roof fabric and exterior paint colours, there are 32 colour combinations to choose from. Like lesser MGs, this one gets the brand's extensive suite of MG Pilot, drive assist and safety features, though unfortunately it all comes with lots of intrusive bings and bongs, so a lot of the time you'll be driving with half of the features turned off. These include active emergency braking with pedestrian and bicycle detection, lane change and lane keep assist, front collision warning, blind spot detection, active rear cross traffic alert, door opening warning, intelligent speed assist, intelligent headlight control and traffic jam assist, which will virtually drive the car for you in urban queues. We gave you the range figures in our driving section, 316 miles for the Trophy and 276 miles for this dual motor GT. These are somewhat limited by the prodigious curb weight, near 1.9 tonnes, which is 750 kilograms more than the old British MG brand's TF. The GT weighs 135 kilograms more than the single motor Trophy, hence its lower range. To get anywhere near either figure, you'll obviously need to be restrained on throttle, be careful with your choice of drive mode and make full use of the adaptive regenerative braking system. We've been getting an efficiency figure of around 2.5 miles per kilowatt hour on this test. Not great, but you could probably improve it with less spirited driving than we've engaged in here. Typically, we've been getting between 250 and 275 miles from a charge. The right-hand instrument screen has an EV section with charging and energy consumption sections, plus one for the car's vehicle to load feature for charging external devices. SAIC is very proud of the technology behind the 77 kilowatt hour battery in use here. It's ultra thin, 110 millimeters to be exact, less than the height of a drinks can, and can charge at speeds of up to 144 kilowatts, so topping up from 10 to 80% can be done in just 38 minutes. AC charging from home using a typical 7.4 kilowatt garage wall box will take 10 hours 30 minutes from 10 to 100%. If the battery is completely empty, you can extend that time to around 12 hours. You could reduce the full charging time to around 8 hours from a home wall box if you had access to 3-phase AC charging and could use an 11 kilowatt wall box. At the other extreme, if you're restricted to use of a 3-pin domestic plug, a full charge would need 31 hours 30 minutes. Residual values should be very high, much more buoyant than for ordinary MG models. As usual with an MG, the 7-year 80,000 mile warranty is fully transferable to future owners. Additionally, there's a 6-year factory warranty against rust, while a year's breakdown cover is also part of the deal. The MG dealer network is growing all the time. The brand expects to shortly have over 160 outlets in the UK. At those outlets, a full digital service record of checks and maintenance provides the customer with complete transparency and full access to the service history of their vehicle. You'll be offered a range of MG servicing plans to spread the cost of maintenance for up to 7 years. Servicing is needed once a year or every 15,000 miles, whichever comes first. Can one car change the entire public perception of a brand? We think this one can. The Cyberster finally makes MG the kind of car maker so many hoped it would be when the Chinese bought it. This is a statement of intent about the company's future, and it's also even more of a British design than a Chinese one. Worth waiting for? In a word, yes. Other issues? Well, you might conceivably object to some of the digital gimmicks. There are a few minor ergonomic issues. And if you like your driving, it's really well worth stretching to this faster GT version rather than the single motor Trophy model. This top model's badge is appropriate actually. This is far more of a grand tourer than an out-and-out sports car. The weight of all those batteries means it couldn't really be anything else. So EV-bound roadster folk won't be selling their BMW Z4s and Porsche 718 Boxsters just yet. SAIC's description of this, the most powerful MG ever made, as an affordable roadster, Maybe stretching things a bit given the premium asking prices, but these are no more than you'd pay for the equivalent combustion-powered roadster models we just mentioned, cars that now seem distinctly yesteryear compared to a Cyberster. On this evidence, the classic sports car genre might have some life left in it after all.